You are now listening to the Walk by Faith podcast. I'm your host, Jasmine Stiff, aka The Pretty Plug. I'm on a mission to tell the lost story that combines faith in God and success here on this earth. The world often separates faith and entrepreneurship as if it was mutually exclusive. But I assure you it's not. I interview the following types of people: entrepreneurs, business women, and businessmen climbing the corporate ladder, founders of nonprofit organizations, college students following their passions, and also artists on the rise. They are movers and shakers in this generation, and I intend to plug you in week after week with content that inspires and educates you to be all that you are called to be. Thank you for tuning in, and now for this week's episode.
Miss me, I go by the franchise, spell it with a Z. No S like stripes, but a Z. Bruh, it's black, it's white. I make it plain like flight and step on the scene in some clean white nights.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 on the Walk by Faith show. The world sections off faith and entrepreneurship as if they were mutually exclusive. Society preaches individual success, and all you need is yourself. I intend to prove through my podcast interviews that you need faith and belief in a higher power to continue to build success even when times become hard. My podcast is catered to those who feel alone in the entrepreneurship journey and need words that combine faith and business acumen. My podcast should serve as a gentle reminder all entrepreneurs that you can't overcome failures and business challenges without the implementation of faith and belief in God from a biblical and application perspective. Our guest today is a Detroit rapper and a Facebook sensation. He is a cancer survivor and has now released a new single, Let It Bake. So I would love to introduce our guest for today, Mr. Keem.TheFranchize. Keem, how are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm so happy to be on your show. I'm so happy. I'm good, man. Thanks for taking time out your day and, kicking it with me right now. But I'm really doing well. I am so well.
Man, okay, listen,
Yep.
I'm excited, and I know I already feel your energy. So one thing I like to do with my guests is just open up with the icebreaker before we get to
Yep.
know everything that you've done. I just
Yep.
want to know 3 things that you would like to change about this world.
First thing definitely would be just love. Having a perspective of love. I think a lot of times we try to take, but what I'm saying, I think if everybody give, everybody gets. But everybody taking, what I'm saying, you can't get. So definitely just having that attitude of love. Second thing is just belief. What I'm saying, that we could just devote more time and thought into believing in love, believing that, everything is good. We have such a skewed view sometimes of, things not gonna work out, things are this, things are that way. And lastly, this is definitely left field. If we could not have mosquitoes, like
Wow.
I don't understand mosquitoes, man. That could be a proverbial just something, but like mosquitoes,
I agree.
they really bother me. They really,
Something, I got a
what I'm
perfect
saying.
mosquito story. So when I was young, those little Skechers shoes that had the roller blades on them. So like, the
Yeah.
Heelys. So one day it was me and my sisters. We was going in and out the house, in and out the
Uh-huh.
house. And next thing I know, my mom was like, y'all better stop going in and out the house. Y'all gonna let the mosquitoes in. This was when I was
Yeah.
in Arkansas. And I was like, what you talking about, Mom? We ain't gonna let no mosquitoes in. Tell me why when I went to sleep, all I heard was, I heard it
Yeah,
all night long. I woke up with so many mosquito bites. I didn't sleep that night. I had to put calamine lotion on. I was pink everywhere, and I had to go to summer camp looking a mess.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
agree with you. Let's eliminate the mosquitoes. I don't
Yeah,
even know the
I'm
purpose.
trying to. That's what I'm saying. And can't nobody tell me why. Like they buggy. No
Yeah.
pun intended, but they just be buggy.
Yes, I completely agree. So, King, like, tell
Yep.
us, where are you from? And tell the people, like, who you are and what you do. Let's just go ahead and
Um.
introduce yourself, my man.
Absolutely. Born and raised, Detroit, Michigan. Been in Detroit most all. I say 2/3 of my life. At some point, I ended up moving to Houston, but ended up finding myself back here. Detroit, born and raised again. I love it here. Well, who are the people? Who am I? I'm a few things. I'm a man. I'm a hip hop artist. I'm a creator. I'm a producer. I'm a writer. I'm a cancer survivor. I love God. I absolutely love God. I love people. And what I do, I make music. I write. As what's so funny is I'm really starting to learn a lot more about myself. You think once you get to a certain point, you know who you are, but I've
Mm,
just been lately spending a lot of time with myself, and I'm starting to see other things within me. God just kind of opening up my eyes more to, you're more than that. You're more than a rapper. You know what I'm saying? I was just locking myself into like, yo, I rap. This is what I do. God, like, no, you're a rapper. You're healing. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
You're a speaker. You're an author. You got some books in you.
mm.
So the quick answer to that is I'm really learning myself more and more, more and more by the day, So I know who I am, but I'm starting to get to know myself a little bit more as I spend time with God, spend time with myself, and just try different things.
Okay. And you know what? It's
Yep,
never too late to continue to learn more about yourself. I feel like we all get in
absolutely.
that self journey and just time frame in our life. So now
Yep.
that you mentioned rapping, like, how did you start rapping and where did your creative journey start?
Wow. It's crazy. Always been a fan of hip hop from the very first song that I heard, and I might be telling my age with this. But I'm a fan all the way back to KRS, all the way back to Run DMC. Then it made it change. It started going to Will Smith, Vanilla Ice, MC Hammer. Then from there it changed to Two Live Crew, to NWA, and then that changed, and you had the Tribe Called Quest, your
Wow.
Bad Boy, your Outcast. So I got a nice little. I have a nice little history, of hip hop, knowing that. But I've always been a fan of the culture, the music, the clothes. For me, hip hop has always been just kind of like something, a voice for the voiceless. And so,
Mm,
there's this quote that Tupac said before. He was like, we didn't know what was going on in Vietnam until they started showing images. And when they started showing images of the war in Vietnam, that's when people were like, hold up, that's ugly. We need to put an end to war. And so, for me, hip hop has always been a voice for people that couldn't voice their, in bad situations, whether it be the ghetto, whether it be, politics, whether it be something social. Hip hop has always been that for me. Public Enemy, Do the Right Thing, those type of things. And so I've always been in love with it. And I would kind of secretly write to myself, but I was like really shy. So I didn't say anything. And so funny thing is one day my dad found the tape of me rapping. Me and my boy would make tapes of me rapping, and I thought I was in trouble. He was like, well, can you get over here? I'm like, what's up? He played the tape, bobbing his head. He stopped and he just stared at me for a while, and he was like, man, you got a gift. And I was like, what? He was like, man, you got a gift. And he was like, whatever you do, just write from your heart. Just tell the truth. Be honest. And I've always took that approach of just implementing my life into my music. You know what I'm saying? And I begin to just, understanding the life that God wants me to live, and just taking my stories, my experiences, my imagination, my truth, his truth, mixing that all together, and just began writing from that perspective. And of course, start growing, and things start happening. Find myself traveling, find myself with a deal, find myself meeting people. So hip hop has just really been a lifeline for me, and I've seen how it just really been able to connect me with other people. I've seen it grow. I've seen the damage it can do, because it's power in words.
Mm.
I've
Oh
seen the
yes.
great things that it can do, and it's a great tool. It's a great medium that I believe, was gifted to the world. It's just a matter of how we using it. So I've decided to, my life and everything that I'm involved in to use it for the better, for the greater good.
You said
Yeah,
something right there.
yeah,
So I want to know, what does your rap mean? Because we got 2 Chainz, we got all these different
yeah,
artists. Everybody
yep,
rap about something different, and they all coming from different places. I mean, we can even name
absolutely,
Kanye West. We don't know where he from. Then you
absolutely,
got Jay-Z, but it's just like
yeah,
Mr. King, the franchise. Where
absolutely.
does your rap come from?
Again, it comes from a place of, and it's been evolving. It just comes from a place of honesty and truth, of survival, from a place of hope, from a place of, you know, I mean, staying with my dad. It's kind of the neighborhood was kind of rough, but we kind of was like, I say the bottom of the middle class, or the top of the bottom. So we had things, but it was kind of check to check, so we still was in that, kind of that environment. So just taking those stories of my truth, and it's something that my dad used to always say to me, and it's crazy because it stick with me to this day. There was a lot of guys around my neighborhood that were either into drugs, into stealing, into doing mischievous things. My dad would always say, "That's not you." Like, he would just always say that to me, "That's not you. That's not you." And
Mm.
that really stuck with me, and just to kind of pause on that, my dad telling me that's not you, it really showed me just the importance of having a father in my life. You know what I'm saying? Having my dad in my life really set a foundation, for me. My dad used to give me $1 every day for my allowance. I had literally got $1 every day, and I would save my dollar up to get gym shoes and to go to the store. And so, like, I had some structure from my father, again, which
Mm.
was really beneficial for me. And so, just having my dad say that's not you. And so, just going back to the climate of hip hop, then I ended up moving with my mom, and I was in church all the time. And so to me, it was a balance. You know what I'm saying? I began to know who God was, and prayer and Proverbs, and, you know what I'm saying, those different things. But then I had that reality of the hood and the neighborhood, but that's not you. So mixing those two things, for me, I never been a thug, been around them. You know what I'm saying? Never been a drug dealer, but been around them. Never been a killer, but been around them. And I know that's just was the grace of God. You know what I'm saying? In the midst of all that. But just, my hip hop, again, is inspiration, is truth. Is You don't have to be that. You can be yourself. And then, coming up to some other challenges, just being able to survive and know, like, there's this hope and there's more to life. Like, if you feeling that there's more to life, and you like, man, I can't really articulate it, but it's something out there. It's more. You know what I'm saying? That's why I stand for it. So, like, it is more. It is more, because I just remember just being in the neighborhood all the time, and then, I finally go to a different city. It's like, whoa, it's people that look like this, that sound like this. And, when I went to college, things began to broaden and expand. So I'm saying all that to say that all that has shaped the type of hip hop that I do, and it's been my reality. It's hope, it's love, it's joy, it's you can overcome, it's things get better, it's more, it's inspiration, it's creativity. And so all that makes up, what I'm saying, the hip hop that I do. Like, I'm for people. I want to see people win. I want to see them win at life. I want to see them win in school. I want to see them win in their dreams. And I sincerely mean that, what I'm saying, from the bottom of my heart, when I
Yeah.
write, when I do what I do, because I've been doing this for a minute. And, if you try to compare it to the numbers, people in hip hop, I'm not successful, but, I'm more concerned
Mm.
with being significant now. Like, what I'm saying, I'm really more
Woo.
concerned with being an impact, because I get just the emails here and there to one person like, hey, I was thinking about dying, I was thinking about quitting. You know what I'm saying? And if it's just one, I may never ever get publicized, or this may not happen this way and that way, but, just to have that significance, man, and, like, God used you for somebody, so That's kind of the
Man,
long and answer the type of music that I do. So
man.
yeah, yep,
And I know you just inspired somebody, and I feel like you spoke in a lot of affirmations. You spoke on a lot of promises that God gives us. Like, we are
absolutely,
significant. We are not insignificant. We are significant,
absolutely,
and it's not in the
yep,
power of numbers, in the likes, in the reposts, on whatever you may value in social media. It's just
yep,
like, if you can touch that one.
absolutely.
And I feel like you're doing that, King. So, and with that, you
Appreciate it.
definitely mentioned when you give back to your kids. And I know you also are a teacher. How do you
Yep.
infuse rap with education?
It's really dope. Honestly, I started in the school when I moved back here from Houston. I started as a mentor, and a few friends of mine, we got together and we started this mentor group called Mentoring Through Music. And so I rap, one DJ, one played the guitar, other played drums, the other played piano. And so we all just kind of came together. And so the kids that were kind of like having trouble in school, they were referred to our after school program. And so we take a group of the kids and just kind of, teach them just the fundamentals of music, teach them how to rap. A lot of kids into rap, into music. So we would just kind of use that to mentor. And from that, a position opened up at the school for me. And I started really developing a lot of relationships just with the kids from me rapping. And I end up becoming a paraprofessional, becoming an interventionist at the school K through 5, working with the kids. And so it's just crazy. Like again, just me being myself, I didn't see it's just one of them things that you overlook, just kind of like an acre of diamonds. Like, you'd be surprised of what you have in your possession. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we always looking outside, but God has already, placed like jewels and great things within us. And I would just naturally just kind of rap, you know what I'm saying? Rap. I'll be rapping a book. Even, if I'm reading to the kids, I find myself rapping, and I just start seeing kind of how they respond or how they tune in or be attentive to it. And so from that, just start creating songs, different songs, catchy songs to learn different things. I've been working with a lot of kindergarten this past year, so just using sights and sounds, rapping stuff like A, A, B, 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 but just little silly
Oh
stuff that
man,
kids,
that's dope.
and it's, what I'm saying, it's real silly and simple, but you just be surprised, and it's just actually, being their language or being relative, what I'm saying, just kind of being
Mm,
relative, and something as simple as that. So just been implementing rap, whether I read, we talking about animals, whether we talking about writing or math. So just been implementing, just the culture of hip hop into that. And again, what really makes it easy, and this what I just be myself. Like, I've
mm,
noticed that in being myself, people are attracted to authenticity. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? I got one of my new favorite hip hop artists, man. His name is D1, and he has this saying. He say, "Be real, be righteous, be relevant." And that really, resonates with me. Just being real, being authentic, being righteous, doing the right thing, you know what I'm saying, having integrity, you know what I'm saying, to be relevant. Like, you can't be trying to, be an 8 track to an iPod generation, you know what I'm saying, or,
Ooh,
you know what I'm
wait.
saying? So it's kind of, so that's what I've been doing as of lately. And so, it's been, I call it my TIP, my temporary income provider, where I'm at right now. So,
Man, like, first off, you can't be an A track to the iTunes or the iPod generation. You
yeah.
said TIP. What is this TIP? Tell us about
TIP
it.
TIP is my temporary income provider. I believe a lot of us as artists, we want to be full time artists, but sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do to get to where we want to be. You know what I'm saying? And that's taking jobs. Man, I've quit so many jobs. I've worked at Foot Locker. I worked at a hot dog place. I worked at a plant. I worked at several plants. I worked at Nordstrom's. I've worked at all different types of places, you know what I'm saying, on my journey, because my desire is to be a full-time hip-hop artist. I want to travel the world, being on tour, rocking stages, inspiring people. Like, that is what I'm going to do. But until the meantime, my TIP, my temporary income provider, has been here at this school.
Okay, and that's not a bad TIP to have. Okay.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
And so, just to transition, there are seasons in our life that hit us worse than others.
Yeah.
And I want you to now tell the audience just about your testimony with surviving cancer, because that wasn't something you could predict. That wasn't
Oh
something that
yeah.
you said, oh, well, I'm gonna be prepared to like have cancer tomorrow. In fact, that that
Absolutely.
that took you by storm on its. I just want you to tell the audience just like what
Yeah.
is your testimony?
Wow. Well, 6 years ago, just out of the blue, I developed a really bad rash. Just so happened in the midst of me having this rash, I was writing a rap. Go figure.
Mm.
So I was writing, and my legs were really itching. So I'm scratching my legs, and I think nothing of it. And so it began to get higher, higher up my leg, up my back, on my arms. And so I ended up going to urgent care, and they said it was poison ivy. And they gave me a shot, but the rash didn't go away. And so maybe 2 weeks went by, and I'm just like, what's going on? I tried all types of cream, and then from there, I developed a really bad cough. Um, my lymph nodes began to like get really big on the side of my neck and on my shoulder blades. Like it was like growing like golf ball sizes. I'm like, what's going on? And I just thought I had a really bad like flu or something.
Mm.
From that, I started developing really, really bad night sweats. Like literally, like if you imagine once you take a shower and the moment you turn the shower off and you left dripping, that's how bad I would be dripping every night. I would change 3, 4 times a night
Oh
to
my
get up throughout
gosh.
the night. And so I'm like, what's going on? I would see my hands shaking. So I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. And I lost like 30 pounds in the span of 30 days. So I was visibly weak and small. My skin was gray. I couldn't eat. I didn't have an appetite. And so this lasted for about a year. I kept going to the doctor. They kept misdiagnosing me with everything from HIV, H. pylori, said I had bronchial spasms, said I had a nose, ear infection. So it was just a lot of different things. I got tired of going to the doctor. I mean, literally for an entire year, like I was sick, and I'm just like, could nobody help me? And I just, something that I look back, I think about the insurance that I had at the time. It wasn't a lot of these places that I was going to, it wasn't the insurance that they would accept, but they wasn't even really concerned about helping me. They was concerned about the insurance. But I remember the last time I just kind of gave up, and my friends came to the house and they saw me and they like, Keem, you got to get to emergency. And because I was blacking out, I would wake up in different places. Again, I was still coughing. I was wheezing at night. I was throwing up blood. And it was just really bad. And we knew something was wrong, but we didn't know what. And again, me, I just got tired of going to the doctor. I had tons of medication. You name it, I had it. I still got the bag. I kept all my medication for just a testimony, just to show people. But I got bags of it. So they took me to emergency, and the doctor, he really took time. Like, you know what? He knew what it was, but at the time he couldn't say. He was just like, Keem, you got a long road ahead of you, but we gonna help you get through this. And they ran a lot of extensive tests, and they kept me for 2 weeks. And they was like, we gotta rush you to chemo because you're in the stage 3. You have stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. And if anybody know about the stages, stage 1 is very small, kind of isolated. Stage 2 is spread a little bit. Stage 3 is throughout that entire organ, wherever it's at. And stage 4 is really nothing they can do. It's kind of like out of control. It's just kind of going everywhere. And so they checked my bones. Thank God it wasn't in my bones, but it was throughout my lymph nodes, my entire bloodstream. And so I had to go through the chemo. And I tell everybody this all the time. Even all the hell that I went through being sick, the chemo is 10 times worse than the cancer. It's because what chemo
Man.
does is it kills all your cells with hopes that the good cells will grow. So it kills all the bad and all the good with hopes that, your good cells will grow. And so I always use the metaphor that what chemo does is like blowing out your windows, your roof, your door. So if anything at any time want to come into your house and do whatever, wreak havoc, it can. So I couldn't really be around people. I couldn't get the slightest cold. If I got a cold, I had to go to emergency. From that, I developed shingles. So it was a really bad, trying
Ooh.
time for me. I had to have surgery because I had a port in my arm because I had to, plug up every time, and it was very mentally challenging while I was there, because I'll be in chemo with people that I met, go back the next day, they pass, or I go back again, like, what's such and such? Oh, he didn't make it. It's like, oh my
Mm.
God. Or while I'm in there, they plug up certain people and they will flatline, and then just seeing like tons of kids like going through this, and so I really just started developing this heart for like just seeing what people were going through, it was just like, I was concerned, I was mad at my friend or worried about this, all that stuff didn't matter because it was just like, yo, Lord, I want to live. I want to live. And I remember when I was going through it, I had this vision of this pillar. I was laying in the bed. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was crazy when I was in the hospital. They would wake me up every like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because they would have to draw blood. But this time I was up and it just flashed before me. I saw this pillar and it was this storm. It was hell. It was rain. It was wind. And this pillar did not move. Like it did not move at all. And God, just kind of revealed to me that that was me, that I was the pillar, that in the midst of the storm that I wouldn't be moved. And from that,
Mm.
I began developing faith. I began watching a lot of funny stuff, positive things. I was watching Martin like crazy. I love Martin. Watching Martin. I started listening to a
Martin.
lot of Eric Thomas, the E.T. the hip hop preacher. Just started watching a lot of that. Just really started filling myself up with God's word. And so 5 years later, I'm in remission on January the 12th, 2013. I was declared cancer free, and so from there, I just kind of been an advocate to where I can with people, just encouraging and inspiring. But it definitely was something out of left field that I had no idea. The doctor said what really got me through it is that I was healthy. There's no way that they can really pinpoint how it came, why it came, or when it came. You know what I'm saying? But it happened, and because I was healthy, that did help me get through it.
Man,
Yeah.
that's a testimony. I mean, we could end the podcast on that.
Yeah.
Right, like you fought
Yeah.
a good fight, you kept going, you saw people, you witnessed people pass, you witnessed people flatline, you
Yeah.
witnessed children going through this, and somehow in
Absolutely.
the midst of all the storm you was going through, you
Yeah.
still found hope, you still found faith, you still found the need to keep going.
Yeah.
That's wild to me. And people will be like, but guys, or having faith is not important, or like you can
Yeah.
do everything in your own strength. When you sitting up
Yeah.
there and you got stuff in your arm, you're being attacked. One, to
Absolutely.
actually cure yourself, you're having to attack yourself to cure yourself. You gonna need something stronger than
Yeah.
your own strength.
Absolutely.
Man,
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
like we can
And you
start preaching up in here. Oh,
yeah, and it's something that my mom would always say to me, but it makes sense to me. She says sometimes you would never know God is all you need until He's all you got.
mm,
And I realized that, so I realized that at that moment. And I've been a believer for quite some time. My mom introduced me to God at an early age, but just it's crazy how this situation, just going through cancer, really, really, really opened me up to a whole nother level of love and purpose and passion to who God is in my life. What I'm saying? It's one thing to
mm,
clap, run, and shout, but then it's another thing to really be in the storm. What I'm saying? To say I believe. It's another thing to be like, hey, God will supply all my needs, but then it's another thing to have need of and then really believe that. What I'm saying? So God has really been showing Himself faithful, man, in my life. My hope is that for those that don't know God, don't want to know God, or those that struggling with that, that God allows these things to happen. You know what I'm saying? So He like, yo, I love you. Like, let them know that. Like, I
mm,
absolutely love you. That's why I died. That's why, what I'm saying? That's why it's so much grace. Like, God really, 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 really loves us. And I believe once we grab a hold of that, insight, that revelation, that changes our belief. What I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't think that they're loved. What I'm saying? Like,
mm,
God, He really do loves us. He don't want us to be sick. He don't want us to be not have. You know what I'm saying? God want to supply all our needs, but unfortunately, when we turn our perspective, when we turn into doubt, you know what I'm saying? We turn away from the light. We end up in the dark. So God just
Mm.
want to shed that light on us, man. And so I believe that that happens. Sometimes those things happen to us. Life happens. You know what I'm saying? And cancer, unfortunately is a part of this life, man. But God is He's greater than any cancer. He's greater than any death. He's greater than anything. And He wants us to be able just to share that with people.
Mm. Awesome, King. Again, you gonna hit us with another testimony, my man. I got it in you. So I want to now just go back to your
Yeah.
your craft, your art,
Okay.
because I think after survived cancer, I think your art got a lot better. Your art got a lot deeper. You
Oh
got more
yeah.
transparent. You were able to like really come out and, you know, rap about things that you care about so that others can really like
Absolutely.
and one question that I didn't even have written down, I want to understand like what your new hit song Let It Bake even means.
Yeah.
Let's
Let
talk
it
about
bake.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about Let It Bake. Definitely streaming now. But Let It Bake. If you take a cake, for example, if you take vanilla extract, if you take flour, if you take egg, if you take oil, if you take those ingredients by themselves separately and individually, they nasty. It's terrible. You know what I'm saying? Have
Mm,
you ever tried vanilla extract? Have
no.
you ever ate a spoon of flour? You know what I'm saying? But just try it. Like by itself, it's terrible. It's probably the most terrible thing ever. But if you take those ingredients and you mix them together and you let it bake, you get a cake. And
Mm,
it's amazing how God takes all our ugly things, all the things that's not so popular, all the foolish things, you know what I'm saying, all the mistakes, all the failures, all the faults, all the falling, you know what I'm saying, all the loss, all the debt, all the hurt, all the cancer, all the, evictions, all the car accidents, all the death, all the sicknesses, all those things, God takes it and He still in His magnificent way know how to make a cake. So our process is through that is just to know that Romans 8:28 says, "For we know that all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord, that are called according to His purpose." Man, God in His wonderful magnificentness has a way of taking all that ugly things that's separate by itself, putting it together, and over time you get this beautiful, delicious, sweet thing called a cake. And so that's what I've known, I've seen throughout my life is just God taking all these ugly things that separate, they ugly, but mixed together. And of course, the sugar is His grace, His love, you know what I'm saying, and having hope and perseverance, giving it time. So if you just give it time to whatever it is, God has a way of working it out. Like things all there is crazy. Like you think back to a lot of things that you were worried about, concerned about. So you're like, oh, my life, how I'm going to get through school, how I'm going to get over this, how I'm going to get over this boyfriend. Oh, my God, I've been divorced. Oh, my God, I lost this happened. And then you look back now, you're able to say, God brought me through that. And so I believe I've seen it. I've seen it in my life. I witnessed it. God takes all those things together, mix it together over time, and you let it bake. That cake coming.
man, that's a deep meaning. And a
Yep.
lot of people think that, rapping, y'all just, you're not even talking about anything. You're just trying to get a quick dollar. But I feel like that metaphor, that actual, like that art of saying, God will put together all of the things that I
Yep.
deem as horrible, all the things that I don't think are valuable. I'll put it all together and I'm gonna let it bake.
Absolutely.
So we gonna
Absolutely.
listen. You can drop the mic right there. So, so
Yep.
I wanna like, why is rap becoming so popular now? Like everybody rapping, like it's
Yeah.
everybody's rapping, everybody's enjoying rap and the culture that it has, Black
Absolutely.
culture. How do you monetize your content? Because I always like to give the audience some tangible tools. If you
Yeah.
are want to be a rapper out there, this is what you should do.
Absolutely. Well, I feel like there's two parts to that question. The
Yeah.
first one, you said why is rap so popular? It's crazy just the magnetism that it has, and it's was for the first time in history, rap is the number one music in the world. It's the number one genre of
Mm.
music in the world this year. It's really powerful. It's a powerful tool. A lot. Well, if you break down rap, is rhythm and poetry. You know what I'm saying? It's a mixture of both of
Mm.
them moving. You know what I'm saying? And poetry as always, words are powerful. You know what I'm saying? Life and death is in the tongue. Words are powerful, you know what I'm saying? And so, they say sticks and stones may break your bone, but words will never hurt you. That's a lie. Like
Like,
words start wars, words create miracles, words create wealth, words do a lot of great things, but they also can be used for, a lot of evil things, depending on the intent behind it. But one way that, and again, it's just for me, it's come through trial and error. It's come through just grace. And when you find yourself passionate about things, you'll find yourself in different areas, like myself at this school. I was praying like, God, what to do? I want to rap. How I'm gonna support myself, and I find myself working at a school rapping. I feel like the day and age that we live in, you can Google just about anything. You know what I'm saying? So we spend a lot of wasted time on social media. We can Google how to make money. You know what I'm saying? We can Google, and that's just kind of just a little tip that I found myself just doing, just far as just Googling just different ideas and being on Pinterest. You can see, just being creative, just finding ways to be creative. And so through Google and Pinterest, that has really been a help for me. If you're an artist, you can write music for other people. You can sell music. You can try to work at a studio, schools. You can monetize things on YouTube, whether it's podcasts. There's various ways. And again, myself, I'm just really starting to just see just the potential in this. Me and a friend of mine, we just started a band recently, and so I'm part of a cover band to where we do. A lot of rappers don't like to rap other people's songs, and I just see it as an open market for myself because I was in this corporate band a few years ago, and so I was rapping like a lot of pop rap songs, but I was gigging. I was making like $300-400 a gig every weekend, doing like 2 and 3 songs, rapping at these weddings with these cover bands.
mm,
So it's definitely a lot of ways. Again, it just really starts with if you seek, you will find. If you
mm,
knock, the door gonna answer. You know what I'm saying? If you
mm,
ask, it's gonna be given. So really just putting that to work. Like you gotta look. You gotta look. You know what I'm saying? Like the chair in the tree. You know what I'm saying? God never gave us the chair, but he gave us the tree. And somebody looked at the tree long enough to build a chair. And so sometimes we just gotta kind of put ourselves in that position to cut out other things and just really focus in. Like, is this what we want to do? And you'll be surprised just the ideas and certain things that are kind of dropped. So that's why I say definitely just start looking, How could I, and start asking yourself that. How could I better myself? How can I make money for this? Because there's ways, ideas are happening every day, all the time, and there's somebody that is in need of your gift. You know what I'm saying? There's somebody find once you find a problem and a solution to it, there go your money.
mm. I'm still stuck on God gave you the tree. It was up to you to
Uh,
make the chair. I'm stuck
yeah,
there. Golly, like this honestly tells me that one, if you don't have friends or people in your life that can see things differently than you, have different
yeah,
perspectives, be able to encourage you, be able
absolutely,
to be optimistic. Somebody be like, man, I don't
absolutely,
got a chair, but you got a tree. You
yeah,
better go out
yep,
there and cut it down.
yep,
Like, man, and that's a
absolutely,
word for somebody out there. If you don't got friends that's really pushing you and challenging you, you need to find some new ones. Go find
yep,
somebody else, okay?
absolutely,
And
yeah, yeah,
a lot of times we think that these industries are oversaturated,
oh
and we
yeah,
think that, man, I've seen it. Like, you can easily say, man, rap is oversaturated. You go anywhere,
yeah,
there's somebody handing out a CD, somebody throwing up their SoundCloud link, somebody's out there trying to
yeah,
rap. So in this space, there are tons of rappers. But
Oh
how do
yeah.
you know that you are able to still start and not be afraid of an oversaturated market?
For me, I can't get away from this burning desire that when I wake up in the morning, when I go to bed. Like it's something in me that burns, that screams, that's so passionate about this. Secondly, there's room for greatness. I know a lot of times we think there's just a top spot, number one spot, and it's not. Like there's room. He's the King of Kings. You know what I'm saying? Like there's room for
Mm,
greatness. And so what happens is when we start comparing ourselves to people, looking at people, that's when we get outshined when we dim ourselves. That's the
mm,
only time when we start competing and comparing. The way to compete is not compete. Be yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it seems saturated because you're like, oh, they doing what I'm doing, but when you look at it from the standpoint of they're not doing what I'm doing, it's not saturated because nobody can do you. Nobody has your fingerprint. Nobody sounds like you. Nobody talk like you. It's similar, but it's definitely different. Your story, your path, and so there's a world. You know what I'm saying? That's built for you. So for me, I've come to that conclusion. Like, there's no other Keem. There's no Keem the franchise. I get it. Jay Z does.
mm,
He raps. Okay, I get Lecrae, but his story isn't my story. And there's a million people that doesn't connect with Jay Z, that doesn't connect with Lecrae, but they connect with hip hop and they connect with Keem the franchise. And so God is using
mm,
that for us to connect. So again, don't compare yourself because we have need of you. The world have need of you. God have need of you. Whatever your gift, and you'll be surprised when you start that. You'll start to see other things open up, and sometimes that's just a stepping stone into your next journey or your next the next thing God wants you to do. But yeah, scratch that. What people doing? It seems like everybody doing this. It seems like no, can't nobody do you.
mm.
Nobody can do you.
Man. All right, Kane, I got one
Yep,
last question for you. Are you ready?
easy. I'm ready.
What does walking by faith mean to you?
Walking by faith to me means seeing what you don't see. Going after something like myself that's in my heart, what I'm saying, still getting older, moving forth because I know what was placed in me. I think we do it every day. We really don't know what the day holds, but we have our in mind what we're going to do, and so we begin to walk that out. And so of course we know faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, but it's really locking in on your mind, saying this is what it is, this is what I believe. This is what I know. So it's one thing to hope, it's one thing to kind of believe, but then it's another thing to know. And I think, tying those things together, that pushes us in that realm or in that, to go after what we don't see. You know what I'm saying? So for
Mm,
me, walking by faith is really closing my eyes and seeing and saying, okay, this is the direction, this is where I'm going, and then open my eyes and I don't see it, but I still see it. So I'm making my way towards that because I believe that's where I'm supposed to be.
man. Man, I feel really encouraged right now. I feel like the
I do
listeners
too.
are gonna feel really encouraged. In areas where you may be weak, others are strong, and that's why they say it's you're supposed to have community. You're supposed to be around people so that your faith can also be strengthened. So with
Yeah,
that being said, a Bible scripture that I want to end this podcast off with is Proverbs
absolutely.
18:21. King the franchise, he been mentioning it. Okay, he has been mentioning it. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Now, what does that mean? If you say, I can't do it, I am
Mhm.
nobody, there is no room for me in this market. You are saying everything that you believe, and that is what will come to pass. If you wake up in the morning and say, I am more than a conqueror, I am the next big rapper, I am the next person that will change this
Yeah,
generation, I am King the franchise, and I come
yeah,
here to give you my story, my way, in this time because it's important. What I have to say is important. What I have to give to this world is important. When you speak all of those affirmations to yourself, it's real hard to speak death
yeah.
when you know that there's so much life to the power of the tongue. And Kim, do you? I mean, I just gotta say thank you to your team for
Thank you.
facilitating and finding
Absolutely.
me. Like the random thing, like I got this.
Th-
I felt like it was this corporate email. It was like the press release. I was like,
th-
man, who is this? I was like, press
yeah,
release, and it was just talking about your new single, "Let It Be," coming out, and I was
yeah.
like, wow, your team did a fantastic job, just making
Thank you.
sure that
Thank
we
you.
both connected. Just gotta say, shout
Absolutely.
out to them. So, where can the people find you so that they can, stay connected to you? They can learn about your music. They can learn about your journey.
Absolutely. It's Keem the franchise, spell it with a Z. That's KeemTheFranchize.com. If you Google Keem the franchise, that's my YouTube, my Facebook, my Instagram. Definitely hit me up. Let's connect. And even beyond the music, just to inspire each other, just to connect, just to say, hey, I'm out here. I'm in the trenches with you. I'm not just throwing out motivational things. Like when I speak, I'm talking to myself too, because I motivation and inspiration, and it's like a daily bath. We need it. We need it daily. You know what I'm saying? So
Man.
just being able to connect, what I'm saying, with people, that's where you can find me, King. It's only one. It's only one King the franchise.
Man. I Well, listen, we got to thank you, Mr. King franchise, and thank
Thank you.
you, folks. So, see you all next week for another episode on the Walk by Faith Show. This was it, y'all. Peace out.
If you want more content like this, make sure you give the Walk by Faith podcast a 5-star rating and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You can follow me on Instagram at __ the pretty plug and follow all updates on the podcast at WBF Podcasts. To those already supporting the show with a monthly subscription, thank you. If you're not already a supporter and you'd like to help make this show possible, tap the link in this episode's description or visit anchor.fm/jasmine-a-stith to become a monthly supporter. That's all, folks. Tune in next week for another episode on the Walk by Faith Show.